We're taught in school, the pituitary gland, they say, is your master gland. It controls all the functions in your body. I say nothing could be further from the truth. Your minor gland would be your pituitary gland. Your basic gland is your pineal gland. Some people call it pineal. I understand it's pine cone shape, called pineal gland. The pineal gland is the gland that produces melanin. And wherever you have melanin in your body, you're going to function differently than a person with little or none. And when you're beginning to function with your melanin, then you can begin to adapt to magnetic fields, electrical fields, and organ fields. Without that, you cannot adapt to all three. You may adapt to one, the lowest of all, electrical fields. Our problem here nowadays is elves. I'm not talking about the one in the hollow earth. I'm not talking about the one in the fairy tales, because elves, not elves, are killing you. Elves is extra low frequency, which is electrical propagations, electrical energy. That is what short circuits you. That's what's causing you to AIDS. That's what's causing your cells to AIDS. That is our biggest problem here. And they're building up more and more towers everywhere. And the more towers go up, the more it's going to short circuit anybody with an active pineal gland. There was an anatomy book and a physiology book, both that stated something along this line, to paraphrase it, that the pineal gland is an atrophied gland of very little usage and really not even necessary to discuss. That meant that the biggest, strongest, most powerful gland in an operating body that we're now in is of very little usage, and possibly in many cases it is, because it calcifies. And it calcifies anytime you expose it to drugs. I didn't say to herbals. Anytime you expose it to allopathic, pharmaceutical drugs, you're killing and causing a war with your pineal gland. When you use homeopathic and nutraceutical products, herbs, leaves, roots, things that are natural, things that contain sunlight, now it begins to amplify and work correctly. It is the gland that lets you tan, the gland that lets you blacken, the gland that gives you your psychic ability, the gland that produces serotonin by which you can get calm under situations, can sleep at night without taking other drugs. It is the master gland that when something goes wrong in your body, it chemically organizes it, analyzes it, and then sends the direction to the pituitary gland to start mass producing all these various hormones from the various things that we do. It does not like synthetic. Synthetic things are made in a laboratory to act like what would be a natural thing. If you are a natural person, you cannot use synthetic things without an aberration, a problem, something else happening within that system. And many things are happening within our systems now that are wrong. Very bad. We have genetically modified foods everywhere. We have water that is full of fluorine, chlorine. What you understand is the irony of what's happening on this planet this time is almost insane. It's past belief on what is happening now to the young people's minds, the old people's minds, and the minds of those who are supposed to be awakening, trying to put it back into a deep coma. If our planet can take in new energy, and if the electromagnetic field or frequency barrier can be altered so that higher frequencies can come in, and that pineal gland kicks in, then you will be once again in tune with your planet. And mankind, having no soul, having only the ability to report to the Lord God Master, will go crazy and begin to dysfunction and do crazy things. Human, who is part of both, will begin to question and try to follow its higher source, and the whole thing will lead to tremendous wars or tremendous conflagrations. The war will last no time if the sons of God can awaken to who they are. Because once they get in tune with the planetary head, the planet will do whatever they as a unit ask for. It was meant that the sons of God, being of the seed of angels, didn't have to even do that. They could summon, they could call forth, they could put aside.
But before any of that could be done, they had to first come into the consciousness and frequency of who they were. You will hear about the sunspot activity being on the increase. You'll begin to hear more again about solar activity, prominences, all types of energy from the sun that will be very harmful. You'll hear about ultraviolet light burning tissue and melanomas and carcinomas affecting the blood and the skin of people on earth. For the sons of God who have an active pineal, that will be a day of blessing, for it will not affect you. You will not be burned, you will simply darken, and the melanin growing, it's almost like a vicious cycle to make you more and more powerful. As they get cancers of the skin and glands, you will get glands beginning to awaken and throwing out the frequencies that are not good and reconnecting the DNA molecules that were separated.
The planet is now going to operate on a frequency that's fast enough. And if you don't catch up, you're going to die. You're going to die anyway. But you'll die faster if you can't keep in synchronous, in harmony, in vibrational rational with your planet. Your planet is speeding up its vibrational rate. It's creating a magnetic field. Magnetism is for the spiritual people. It's for people with souls. It's what our planet used to have before the moon was put here, before all the Dracons came here and tried to make it part of their galaxy and tried to create humanoids, succeeded in one, failed in the other, but they're still trying. At this time, there's a battle between the draconic forces called snake people, alligator people, reptile people, whatever you want to call them, that are egg-born, have no souls. And the soul womb-borns who are just beginning to find out how you fought the battle and licked them before, but now they're licking you and you know what they're licking you in. Because it's a time when you're going backwards instead of forwards. And as you try to awaken, they put more stress on you. Reverse mortgages, subprime loans, bills sending twice a month to you, taxes, overtaxing, depleted uranium. Here comes the next flu. Here comes the next epidemic. Here's something going to fall on your head from space. Anything to keep you so stressed out